And we've got on the line Mike DeBonis, who covers the District of Columbia for the Washington Post. Good morning to you, Mike.
Good morning.
All right, we got so much we want to talk to you about, but first of all, let's start off with the mayor's race, because there's a new poll out that was conducted, and it shows that Muriel Bowser is in a good place, but some have suggested that there may be some concerns about the depth of the support that Muriel Bowser has.
Yeah, I think that's a good way to look at it. We brand new NBC4 Washington Post mayor's poll. We had the mayoral results last night. What it shows is that Muriel Bowser, Democratic nominee, she's in relatively good shape. Double-digit lead.
She's 43, and Catania 26, and Schwartz
26.
16. Yeah,
Schwartz 16. I think that we pulled a head-to-head matchup between Muriel Bowser and David Catania back in March before the primary, and Bowser was 30 points ahead at that point plus. That was a point in the race where David Catania had just entered the race. Muriel Bowser had just spent a lot of money and time introducing herself to residents in the district. So that wasn't terribly surprising. And I think that there was some thought that the race had tightened since then. David Catania had said it was essentially it had tightened to almost a toss-up. But, we don't see evidence of that in our poll. She still has a significant advantage, but it's not a done deal. She's has some weaknesses. For one thing, only half of Democrats are supporting her. There's a lot of Democrats who are looking at other candidates or just are undecided, and that's not great news for her. To know that the people that she's relying on as her base aren't with her in a really significant majority.
Yeah.
But take half of Democrats. When you're talking about three-fourths of the registered voters in the city, that's a great start. She's got 1/3 of independents. The independents are almost evenly split between her,
so some softness
David
there,
Catania, and Carol Schwartz. And she's in the catbird seat. It really looks like her race to lose right now, but it's not a done deal.
But Mike, it's interesting. Maybe David Catania's neck and neck poll that he conducted didn't include Carol Schwartz, because there's a couple of ways to look at this. First of all, the majority of voters don't want Muriel Bowser. She only got 43%. And also, if you take Schwartz out of the field here, did you conduct a poll without Schwartz as an option? I'm just curious, because between the two of them, Schwartz and Catania are basically the two combined are at 42%, which is a dead heat with Muriel Bowser.
That's assuming that all the votes for Schwartz would go to Catania.
Right. So is Carol Schwartz acting as kind of a Ross Perot in this case?
No, we're not seeing evidence of that. What we did is we asked voters, like, okay, who's your first? Who are you voting for mayor? Who are you leaning towards? And then, yes, who's your second choice? And then in that, you can sort of see, if their favorite candidate wasn't in the race, where would they be? Where would they be at otherwise? And what we saw was, it was surprising to a lot of people, which is the people who are voting for Carol Schwartz or on their second choice are evenly split, almost exactly evenly split between Bowser and Catania.
That's
so. What that says to us is, it's not that Carol Schwartz is a spoiler. She's taking votes from one candidate or the other. She sort of basically has her own little base of support in the city. It's very unique. They're very drawn to Carol as a very unique figure, and it's not the case that she's taking votes away from either of the candidates. It's just, here's Carol. She has a base, and they're going to turn out, and they're going to vote for her.
Let me change directions a little bit in another story that you've been involved in covering. It has to do with, there's been a judge who says you have to allow people to carry in the District of Columbia, carry a weapon in the District of Columbia. And he said, go out there and figure it out. Well, now district leaders are figuring it out, and they've come up with a proposed piece of legislation. And it looks like as if many people look at this and they say, well, look, this legislation, it could be open to additional challenges under the law.
Yeah, I think that, it's easy. I think it's almost certain that this bill that they're proposing is going to invite further litigation. The difference between the old law and the new law is the old law was struck down by a federal judge. This new law that's being proposed is similar to other laws that have survived court challenges in other parts of the country, including in Maryland. But that does not mean that in the future another judge will look at this and say, you know what, that's not going to pass muster. They basically said, before yesterday when they released this bill, the message they sent was like, okay, we get it. We know that our existing law, the flat ban on carrying weapons, period, is not going to fly constitutionally going forward. But we believe that we can craft a very strict law that involves only giving permission to carry to persons who can prove they have a need to carry weapons.
Yeah, but they went a step further in saying that if you live in a crime-ridden neighborhood, that's not a good enough reason.
Right. Yep. And I'm not intimately familiar with the laws in Maryland, New Jersey, or New York, and I don't know how easy, how strict they are in accepting those particular rationales for a carrying license, but this is definitely stricter than the people who have been pursuing this lawsuit would have liked to have seen. What they want to see is what's called a shall issue law, which is if you meet the requirements under the law, then you are entitled to that permit. What the district is pursuing is called a may issue law, which means that you can apply, but whether or not it's up to the authorities, in this case the chief of police, whether or not you actually get that permit. And, if that to the people who have been pursuing the lawsuit has been really objectionable. They said, this is a constitutional right, and we don't make people beg and apply for their other constitutional rights, like freedom of speech, so on and so forth, to the government. It's not the government's job to parcel out.
Yeah. Well, it seems like the bottom line is we're going to see more lawsuits. All right.
That's true. That's absolutely true.
Real fast, Mike DeBonis, swinging back to the mayoral race. Tonight's the first debate. What are you looking for? Who's going to try to strike blood? Is this Catanya's moment to shine?
Yeah, obviously in light of the debate, in light of the poll, David Catania needs to make an impression and really make a case that Muriel Bowser is not the way to go. That he's the more qualified and more impressive person to take the city into the future. He's got to convince a good number of people that the default choice of Democrat Muriel Bowser is not a good one.
All right, we'll leave it right there. Mike DeBonis with the Washington Post. Thank you so much.
No problem.